And welcome to another edition of Daily Tech News Show Video. I'm Tom Merritt. Some of you have asked, why do you just kind of start in the middle of a sentence sometimes on video? And that's because we need to give it a little bit of runway so it catches up with the live broadcast. So you guys who watch on YouTube or subscribe to the video feed get a little couple minutes of bonus content. We hope you enjoy. I mean, content may be a strong word for what happens before we actually start.
Yeah, you got to define content.
I mean, it's content in the strictest sense of contains words.
It's contextual.
Yeah.
Which I think is a derivative of content.
Yes.
The way around.
The related words for sure.
Contains things.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I know. You know what? I'm voting. I'm going to rule. Judge Johnson rules. Yes, we're going to allow it.
Oh, can you please make that a show?
Judge Johnson.
Let's do it.
I know we have Judge Hodgman, but so you just do it differently.
Yeah. No, I can. Look, there's plenty of room. There was Wapner. There's Judy. There's Hodgman.
Yeah.
Maybe you could give it a spin. Call it the Judging Johnson. And people think it's like something really lewd, but it's just you casting.
Yeah, but I got a good logo idea just from what you said. So
the Judging Johnson.
Yes. If only I knew a cartoonist who could make.
If only you were a cartoonist.
Actually, it's not a bad idea, Judge Johnson, and I could horribly judge situations sent to me and do a video.
your only big thing is to differentiate it from Judge Hodgman.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Because he's nailed the format of being the judge of the internet.
That's true.
So it's got to be a district court to his superior court or something.
Exactly. I have to send it anything that we can't deal with or gets.
Yeah, you could send up to Judge Hodgman on appeal.
You need to do. It has to be more of a night court.
Yeah.
Situation. It needs to have a really comedic feel to it.
All right.
All right. We'll workshop that. In the meantime, let's give the folks a Daily Tech News Show to look at.
That's good.
Here we go.
In a world where technology changes faster than the human race can adapt, there's only one place to turn. The Daily Tech News Show with Tom Merritt and guests. But they need your help. Go to dailytechnewsshow.com to find out how.
This is the Daily Tech News for Wednesday, April 6th, 2016. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me, Scott Johnson of the Frog Pants Network, of which we are a part, so it's kind of Inception every time you're on, Scott.
Yes, I feel it. My top is still spinning, and I don't know if it's going to stop by the time the credits roll.
Are you in the show, or is the show in you?
I don't know, but I feel like there's a van very slowly driving off a bridge into a river right now.
Maybe,
that I know.
Because we're talking about live broadcasts from your phone, we should broadcast from our phone live within the live stream of the show.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if we'll do that or not. We'll find out in a second. Let's start off, though, with the headlines. And by second, I mean a long time. Facebook is adding a live streaming button to the middle of its iOS and Android apps, leading to a dedicated page. There'll also be a map of the live streams. Sound familiar? Yep, it's very Periscope-like. You can choose to stream to groups now or events, not just your normal public friends, etc. choices. And viewers can use all the Facebook reactions multiple times. Before on Facebook Live, you could only choose once, and then that was it. Comments and reactions will replay when viewed later, again like Facebook, or like Periscope. Facebook is paying some publishers to stream on the platform. The new button and the features should roll out to users over the next few weeks. So if you don't see it right now, you'll probably get it soon.
Yeah, we'll talk about why we are either excited or not here in a bit. I'm actually very excited, and I have a very specific reason why.
I did like in some of the interviews I saw that Mark Zuckerberg gave to various outlets like BuzzFeed and The Verge, that they said, well, I don't think Zuckerberg gave it to The Verge, I think it was a press person, but they basically said, yeah, it's like Periscope because those are naturally good features for this kind of platform. Like, they didn't dodge it, and I want to give them credit for that. Like, oh yeah, no, we're borrowing from the leader. That's right.
Yep, and in a way, that's what I want them to do. Let it suss itself out a little bit, then come to us with a solution that works well within their ecosystem. We'll see if it works well. I haven't yet tried it, but I have thoughts. We'll get to that in a bit. But as we mentioned yesterday, and I'm excited about this too today, Vivaldi browser released its 1.0 client. That version came out today. No more beta. They're out of beta. Vivaldi offers customizable keyboard shortcuts, a command line interface, mouse gestures, tab stacks, which is interesting, and lots of customization. It's actually based on the Google's Blink engine, so it can support Chrome extensions. That was the #1 awesome feature as far as I was concerned when I ran this thing this morning. And they all work great that I've tried so far, by the way. The team hopes to add email client and the ability to sync bookmarks, settings, and extensions across different machines. Vivaldi was founded by Opera co-founder and former CEO John von Techner, and I got to say, working pretty good so far. In fact, I'm doing this Hangout over that browser. So
what? You've been doing it the whole time.
The whole time. I was in the house the whole time, and the nice thing about it is no issues so far, no problem so far. Only one bug that I'm aware of that's just a little annoying, and they'll probably fix it in no time. But so far, so good. I like it. It's a nice alternative, and I'm always about competition in the browser space.
Yeah, and I like the fact that I'm hearing myself back to myself now.
Oh, weird.
For some reason. I don't know if that's Vivaldi.
That would be really ironic.
But I like the fact that they are saying this is for people who want to use browsers. We're not trying to make it simple for people who aren't familiar. This is for people who really like to use browsers. They've been using browsers for years. They know how to customize them. They want options. And I love that it is tilted in that direction. One interesting thing about Vivaldi, no ad blocking built in. You can certainly get extensions for that, I assume, but they're not touching that. They're like, we're the browser. That's not our job. If the user wants to do that, great. But that's not something we feel we need to build into the browser.
I can confirm there is no built-in ad blocking service, but regular old ad block in the Google store, the Chrome store, absolutely works and works the same as you'd expect.
Huawei launched 2 high-end phones in London today, the P9 and P9 Plus. 5.2-inch P9 has 3 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of internal storage, 3,000 milliamp hour battery, and an octa-core processor. The version for Asia will come with a dual SIM, only a single SIM in Europe, and the Asian one also will have a 128 gigabyte option, which is interesting. 5.5-inch P9 Plus has 4 gigabytes of RAM, 3,400 milliamp hour battery, comes in 64 gigs or 128 gigs. Both have micro SD card slots and USB-C connections. And when I say both, I don't mean the 64 and the 128. I mean both the P9 and the P9 Plus have those. The camera has dual 12-megapixel sensors, one RGB and one monochrome, co-engineered with Leica, but built by Huawei, and that camera is getting a lot of the attention here. P9 hits Europe by the end of April, and the P9 Plus before the end of May. No pricing, however, has been announced.
Were you going to get these phones here? Do you know?
No details on whether they will come to the United States or when.
Well, time will tell, Huawei. Reminders is coming to the web version of Google Calendar. You know those, Reminders, according to Google blog post. Reminders work across Google applications like Inbox, Keep, and Google App and will sync across devices. Reminders will stay persistent on the top of the calendar unless the task has been marked complete and already is available for iOS and Android, so that's good news. I use these, actually. So
I haven't been using them because they don't show up on the web. So now that they show on the web, I might start using them. The only downside now is they won't show up in synced calendars. Like I use iCal. I have iCal read the Google Calendar. But that's less of an issue for me. I rely on those less for my day-to-day management, and that's more for just checking something or maybe getting a reminder on a different platform. I also have my Microsoft Outlook calendar synced to Google Calendar, so I don't think they migrate to those other platforms. But my big hang-up was I live in the web version of the calendar a lot, and so if the task isn't showing up there, that's going to be a big problem. So, yeah, I think I'm going to start using this.
Cool.
Dan Gooden at Ars Technica reports on a paper presented at Black Hat Singapore last week describing how a malicious Firefox extension can leverage vulnerabilities in other extensions to execute malicious code and steal data. Now you may say, oh, okay, but most extensions are secure, right? Well, 9 of the 10 most popular Firefox add-ons contain vulnerabilities that could be exploited, according to these researchers. The malicious add-on takes advantage of the fact that all JavaScript extensions on Firefox shared the same JavaScript namespace. Firefox has issued new browser extension APIs. They say they are not vulnerable to this attack now, and they also have further plans to sandbox Firefox extensions in the future.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably your only way to totally ensure this, right? If you don't sandbox it, then you can't control that end of it, and people can sideload and do all kinds of crazy stuff. So that seemed like a smart move for them.
Yeah, and the sandboxing, you can still sideload. You can still add your own extensions. It just says if an extension is running, it can't communicate with the other extensions.
Gotcha. The Verge reports on Video Stitch's VR camera. They're calling this the The Aura 4i, spelled O-R-A-H, Aura 4i. The 4K 360-degree camera has four these are 2.0 fisheye lenses attached to a Sony Exmor image sensor and two Ambarella video chips. One cord connects to a box with an Intel CPU, NVIDIA GPU, 120 gigabyte SSD, and Ethernet. This thing's going to sell for $1,800. Starts this month. Will slowly get more expensive until it hits the final retail price of $3,600 in August. It's a strange pricing model, in my opinion, but also not too bad in terms of cost. If you're,
it seems strange, but what it seems like is them running Kickstarter pricing without running a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo.
Yeah, a little bit.
They're basically saying, well, if you fund us early, you'll get a cheaper price. And that's the way those crowdfunding things always work. It's like, oh, the first 20 people get it at this price, and then the next 100 people get it at this price, and then the final retail price will be bigger if you don't back us. So they're kind of, that's the way it struck me. Is like, oh, they're running that kind of pricing structure, but without the crowdfunding. Yeah,
and I would argue, given the sensors that we're talking about and the hardware we're talking about and the need for this in the face of VR becoming, being rolled out, the price, even at $3,600, isn't that bad. If you're a production company that's trying to get content for VR, this isn't ridiculous. This isn't a $20,000 or $30,000 entry-level RED camera or something. You're talking about something that's pretty affordable, depending on what you plan on to do with it. And if you're in the market, $1,800 is kind of a steal. So
compared to what those other rigs from the likes of GoPro or Google or any of the, and I think Google and GoPro are combining on that, but those are, you're talking like tens of thousands of dollars.
Sure. Get this, $1,800, man, that's a steal.
Yeah. Well, it's not a steal unless you stole the $1,800. It's still really expensive, but it's less expensive. Hey, by the way, Big Jim said that he heard on All About Android last night that the Huawei P9s would come to the U.S. by the end of the year. I did not see anyone reporting that, so I wasn't sure it was for real. But Android Police, I did a quick search while we were talking here. Android Police, citing Wall Street Journal article, says coming to the U.S. by the end of the year. So
it seems like there's a market here. There's so much praise about those phones lately coming out of them.
Yeah.
Why not?
Who cares? Why you gotta always be talking about the United States, Scott?
Jeez. Who cares about this small 300 million person country?
No, I say that jokingly, but the fact of the matter is, because we are in the United States, we always tend to report on United States things more. So I try to correct against that. And the fact is, these phones are coming to Europe and Asia first. That is more important than when they will come to the United States. On the other hand, what you're saying about like, hey, the United States is a big market that Huawei wants to break into, and these might be the phones that help them do that, that is also a totally legitimate angle on this story as well.
Yeah, and the thing to keep in mind, the day, and it's not too far off, it's already starting to happen, but the day when all major motion pictures start to have their debut in Chinese markets first before they come here, they already do this in Europe a lot, we need to start getting used to that idea, everybody. It's okay. It's all right for Star Wars Episode 8 to premiere in China. That's my prediction, by the way.
And Big Jim found a CNET article that said it likely will only be sold online in the U.S. and Australia.
All right.
Yeah, a lot of things with products are different than movies, right? Products, you have logistics, like you have to ship them, and you have to have distributors, and so I am a little more forgiving about products not being released at the same time worldwide than I am about like a movie. Come on, I know you have distribution it's stuff, but you could do it. It's a lot easier. BBC reports that China's Fang Bijing, who is largely responsible for China's internet controls, was giving a speech at the Harbin Institute of Technology in China, wanted to show a South Korean website as an example of that country's internet controls, but the site he wanted was blocked in China, so he couldn't show it. So what did he do? Right there on stage, he logged into a VPN so he could show it. And then they canceled the question and answer session. Nobody in China is reporting on this, which is not a big surprise, but a lot of comments about it on, say, Sina Weibo or other social networks are not being removed, which is interesting as well.
Yeah, actually the combination of it happening and then canceling a thing and no one talking about it, but the comments aren't being removed. Like it's such a weird middle space of we're sort of like locking down and then we're kind of not exactly. It's weird. It's very strange. Great story, though. We reported earlier this show that Nest is shutting off its service for the Revolve smart home system in May. Some people just discovered this and got really, really angry. The Nest company spokesman told The Verge, quote, "We've been working with a smaller number of Revolve customers on a case-by-case basis since we sent out the first customer notification in February to determine the best resolution, including compensation, unquote. Revolve owners interested in possible compensation are asked to contact customer support at help@revolve.com. That's REVOLV.com.
Okay, so Nest, at least inside Silicon Valley, has a black mark on them, right? So everyone is looking at a Nest story and going, here's another example of how they're all messed up, for good or ill. Nest also seems to have a little arrogance, kind of an Apple-like arrogance of, we're dealing with this with our customers, so you guys just stay out of it. We talked to our customers, and the customers who responded to us, one angry guy on Medium is getting a lot of attention, but the customers who responded to us, and we're working this out. So you guys just talk amongst yourselves. It seems like this is getting reported, again, because Nest is not doing a good job of managing the press. It's getting reported as like, Nest gives inadequate response to Revolve anger. And the fact is, well, there's definitely one angry Revolve customer. I'm sure there are more than that. But what Nest says is that they are working with the actual Revolve customers, and they may be giving them their money back. They may be working on it. All that Nest is not doing is making a blanket statement to everyone saying, this is what we're doing and we're really sorry. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of Nest arrogance to me than whether they're actually treating their customers, their actual customers, well or not.
Do you think it's arrogance, or is it, and not that I don't disagree, or that I do disagree, because I actually think you're right, but could it also be, or could you make the argument that they're a company who's decided that, you know what, we're not going to bow to every social media blast and every
or
whatever. Like at some point, I start to wonder why more companies aren't taking a more vocal stand as to why they're not going to respond to just all this yelling and hire 15 new people to be on Twitter all day scouring the web for ways to improve PR with angry people or whatever. Like that feels a little like that, and maybe it's not, but maybe it is. I don't know.
Maybe it is. Here's the problem with that. Is every potential Nest customer that isn't a Revolve customer, that isn't having a conversation with someone at Revolve customer support, now thinks, well, I don't know if I want to buy that Nest. They might just shut it off someday. I heard that one angry guy said they just shut things off and then you don't get to use them anymore. Yeah. And that, for whether that's right or not, is the perception that's getting out there. And Nest needs to be doing something to battle that. And the fact that they're not starts to lend a little credence to these reports that Nest is not really managing itself well, because that seems like a basic thing that you come out and try to reassure people, like, here's the transition plan for the Revolve users. I know not many of you are Revolve users, if any, but you should know that if this were to happen in the future for any of our other products, there will be a plan and you will be taken care of.
Do you think a lot of is it weird that all this backlash seems to be aimed directly at Nest and nobody's actually talking that much, at least from what I can see, about Google, or more importantly Alphabet, which this is all a part of now? Is it just not seen that way? It's not looked at as its subsidiary status, and they're all looking at it as its own independent functioning company. That's how it feels.
Yeah, I think that's it. The fact that the Nest is being allowed to be Nest, like, this is definitely not the way Google would do it. We mentioned that when we first talked about this story a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So again, they're being left to their own devices. They will live or die upon them.
And they are Revolve devices, it turns out.
My wife does not work for Nest. YouTube. It's a totally different division. Yep. Angola Cables SA and NEC Corporation announced Wednesday plans to build the first subsea fiber optic cable system connecting Africa and South America. It will connect Luanda, Angola, and Fortaleza, Brazil. And in Brazil, in Fortaleza, they can connect to a system that runs all the way up to Miami, Florida, giving Africa a direct connection to the U.S. The system is planned to become operational in 2018.
So when they say subsea, they mean under the sea, meaning in the earth, right? Like under the water. How deep do they go? Do we know that? We probably don't know that. I'm very curious about that.
That was not a question I anticipated you asking, so I did not research the depth at which subsea cables are placed.
I don't know why that's so curious to me. I'm very curious about how deep you go. How do you go down there? Like,
how deep is your net?
Yeah. I was just like, how's that work kind of attitude.
I mean, I think they go to the bottom. I may be wrong about that, but I think they just let it fall down to the bottom. Here's what I do know: there are lots of subsea cables that operate, So I'm not doubting that this is going to work. What is important to me about this story is that you are getting more and more connections to Africa. That gives that continent more reliable service, and as it gets more reliable service, the startups and tech companies that are starting to thrive in places like Kenya, Nigeria, and South Africa are going to have more reliable service, which will make them more able to provide the kinds of products that they want to provide. This is what Southeast Asia was 20 years ago, essentially, is what I'm thinking. So I think this is significant.
All right, well, there you go, 2018. Hurry up and get here. A working group commissioned by the USS, or the USS FAA. That's a great ship in Star Trek. You should all watch Star Trek. Anyway, commissioned by the US FAA, rather, released its recommendations on rules for UASs flying near people or overpopulated areas. UASs less than 250 grams are largely okay. Larger UASs must remain a safe distance and pass crash tests with less than 1% chance of injury from full-speed collisions. So if you're taking your drone, we're not calling them drones anymore, your unmanned aerial system. And
UAS.
You better make sure that thing is nice and safe, or else you're busted. Sounds like.
Yeah, well, the manufacturers have to do the crash test. You don't have to crash every single one you sell, but the manufacturers are not real excited about this because crash tests don't give them as much flexibility to change their standards as they go. But the idea is you want to make it so that even if there is an accident, it will not likely cause an injury. But at the same time, you're going to allow commercial operation of these UASs over stadiums, over cities for real estate photos. Allow that commercial usage that everybody has been wanting to do.
Curious about it being a similar process to the way cars are tested, for example. Like, what under what conditions do you test it? It seems like a lot more variables with a flying object, so that's all super interesting to me. I assume this stuff gets documented. We'll start to see.
Well, it's documented in the link right there. We linked in the show notes right to the report from the committee. And again, don't forget, this is a committee proposal. The last time the committee did a proposal was about the registration system, and that was approved by the FAA within a couple of months. So these are likely to get approved and become the rules by summer, but they aren't the rules yet. And yeah, if you want to know like what is in that crash test, what do they have to do? Go read this report. It's all in there.
Yep, nice and long too.
Yes, it is good bedtime reading. The National Journal, The Verge actually passing along that the National Journal is saying that the FBI has briefed Senator Dianne Feinstein on how the agency broke into the iPhone 5C that was part of the legal fight with Apple. Senator Richard Burr is scheduled to be briefed in the days to come. Both Feinstein and Burr are working on a new bill to limit the use of encryption in consumer technology, expected to be made public in the weeks to come. So the folks who want to weaken encryption are getting a chance to find out how the FBI was able to defeat encryption.
Great. At least they're,
according to the National Journal.
At least they're working across the aisle. Can I see that silver lining? No, maybe. Not really.
That is irrelevant. It's I try not to bring that kind of stuff up because I have my own opinion.
Of course not. But it's nice to see two opposing sides working together toward a worse thing for us.
Is it?
It's not.
Is it nice? Is it nice the word you were looking for there? I feel like maybe you were looking for a different word.
Yeah, the word nice is the only one that came to mind.
Yeah, and no joking aside, the party affiliation of these people means nothing to me for many reasons. The fact that these two senators want to weaken our encryption and are getting a chance to find out how the FBI broke into encryption, which to me should be the biggest argument why you shouldn't legally weaken encryption for law-abiding people, is interesting. And again, this is a National Journal report. This is not an official thing. And National Journal is a publication with its own view on things, so you may want to take that with a grain of salt as well. Thanks to Kyle, Abituela Condolce, and more who submitted things we used from our subreddit. We want you to do that too. Submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com, and that is a look at the headlines. All right, let's talk about going live on Facebook. Fiji Simo, the product director in charge of Facebook's live video, told Recode, "We're working with a few partners, and in some cases, and that includes a financial incentive. So they're paying people to do this. They're putting the button right where the messenger button is right now because they want you to use it. They want you to start streaming. Right now, if you haven't got the update yet, like I have it, you have to go to post, and then you have to choose the little "Let's go live" thing. It's a little button with a circle around your head, and then you can describe your live video, a DTNS live, and then you can actually stream live. And they're going to make that a little simpler. They're actually going to make this so that you can just press the button right in the middle of your app, Android or iOS, and go live. Now, this has become a really common thing for people to do. Periscope obviously has taken off, gotten a lot of buzz. Meerkat had buzz before that, and they've been a little bit left on the roadside. They're starting to pivot already. Matt Honan at BuzzFeed got a chance to talk to Mark Zuckerberg about this sort of thing, and there's 3 quotes here that I want to pass along. Well, really more like 2 quotes here that I want to pass along. Because, Scott, I think there's a wider question of why people are doing this, and it speaks to the fact that Facebook is using so many features that Periscope already had. Mark Zuckerberg said, "The big decision we made was to shift a lot of our video efforts to focus on live because it is this emerging new format, not the kind of videos that have been online for the past 5 or 10 years. He also said, because it's live, there's no way it can be curated. And because of that, it frees people up to be themselves. It's live. It can't possibly be perfectly planned out ahead of time. Somewhat counterintuitively, it's a great medium for sharing raw and visceral content." So they have been possibly going to spend a lot of money on the NFL, and then they decided not to. And they've been working with people to strike content deals to bring their content over to Facebook, trying to lure YouTube creators. And it seems like within the last month, Facebook decided, no, just relaxed, casual sharing is the way to go. And here's my thought on this, Scott.
All right.
Back when YouTube was new, a lot of people scoffed at it and said, "Oh, well, anybody creating a video and put it up, well, who's going to watch that? It's a bunch of cats. It's not that interesting." And the value of it was that it was people being authentic. It was the stereotypical YouTube video was, "Hey guys, in my bedroom, just talking to you." And now YouTube is struggling to increase production values. Well, this seems like the next wave of like, hey, you don't have to have production values. You don't have to do anything. There's no filter. You just turn it on and you broadcast. And then you just start talking to people. Is this the next wave of that where like, I just want something where I don't have to think so hard because now YouTubing has become something where I have to increase my production value?
I completely agree. I was going to say the exact same thing. The idea that there needs to be a form of video in the hands of everyday people where nothing's planned, it's all just sort of thrown together, is already proving itself out in lots of ways. And it is interesting, though, to go back to your earliest point about what YouTube was and what it's trying to be now or what it's struggling to be. Not to say they're struggling, and Tom's wife works for YouTube and they never struggle because she's great. But here's what I mean. It was that in the beginning. It's, kid bit the brother's finger and isn't that funny, and that guy fell down and that guy did a funny skateboard thing. And now it's a lot of high quality, high production stuff, things that rival television, and in some cases rivaling the money that's thrown at TV projects is being thrown at projects that are then put on YouTube. So it feels like that's the evolution of a service. Vine was the same way. Vine started out as quick 6-second thoughts, very much like live, but archived still, but it had that feeling of like, this is off the cuff. I just saw this funny thing. Here's 6 seconds of it. Boom, bam, it's up on the site. It's up on Twitter. Everyone sees it. What Vine has done is gone through a similar transition. There's still lots of that, but there's lots and lots of pre-edited stuff, posted with special music, posted with special effects. Like people, especially the big stars of Vine, are doing all kinds of sort of pre-prepared stuff. None of that stuff is off the cuff anymore. And this new wave of things like Periscope, and now with Facebook getting into this, makes perfect sense to me, but I also think it goes the same way. 3-4 years down the road, it will be a mix of those things. I think it'll probably be a stronger play for them to do the more casual stuff, or that's where most of the stuff will end up, is more like off-the-cuff stuff. Why? Well, because it's a social site. It's still a social network in every sense of the word, and their biggest strength, if you could, I mean, some could argue this isn't true, but Facebook's biggest strength is still the social side of it. This is where I talk to my family. This is where I'm friends with my mom. This is where I keep track of people from high school. It's still their kind of core thing. So I think that they have actually a better chance of that remaining nice and organic and off the cuff and less produced over time. But there'll still be some of that because numbers are everything, and when people start having big numbers, then comes advertising, then comes the ability for people to be Facebook Live stars, or however you want to put it, and there'll always be room for that. But they have a real chance here to keep it grassroots, and I think that's a good thing. I'm really excited about this, genuinely. I've got groups I belong to on Facebook that are wholly unique to any other social part of my internet life, and I love the idea that I can, just with them, the Tadpole group, for example, just with them, have a little drive-through at a McDonald's while I have something I want to share with them. Or I can do the same from them. I can just see the people I want to see. So there's some granularity to this particular proposal that appeals to me more than just random video or whatever. Whether this takes a big chunk out of Periscope or becomes a thing of its own or brings a bunch of kids back from doing stories on Snapchat is a whole nother question.
Yeah, I wonder if the and I'm hearing myself back again. I don't know why that's happening.
That's weird.
I wonder if the thing that Facebook will have to its advantage, because I think I did a sample today. I did a Facebook Live stream, and then I did a Periscope stream, and man, was it different. Now, granted, the Facebook Live new features haven't launched yet, but I got maybe 20 people max watching when I did the Facebook Live stream, and I made it public. I also don't use Facebook a lot, so maybe people weren't paying attention there right then. I did Periscope, which went out on Twitter. I got hundreds of people watching, and lots of people commenting, lots of people putting hearts in and all that sort of thing. And it was just a whole different experience. When I was doing Facebook Live, I felt like I had to think of things to say to fill the time. When I did Periscope, I was like, I can't keep up with all the comments and things people are saying. It's totally different. Now, Facebook Live can have that same experience as I had with Periscope eventually. So how do they get there? Periscope has become the place where people live, and we've seen over and over a lot that it's difficult. It's not impossible. Facebook did it to MySpace with social networks, but it's difficult to get people to move from one place to another if they've got too comfortable. Don't know if people are too comfortable at Periscope. They got people out of Meerkat before they got comfortable. They haven't been in Periscope that long, so maybe Facebook Live can do it. But I think what you said, Scott, is probably the better angle on this, which is it's about being able to broadcast to a particular person and being able to reach a large number of people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
so in other words, if I'm Vox or I'm Kim Kardashian, there are more people on Facebook than there are on Twitter, so I've got a bigger potential audience. If I'm Scott and I just want to reach AIE folks, well, there's an AIE group on Facebook. Boom. I just start streaming, and only the AI people see it, and I don't have to deal with trolls, and it's great.
Yeah. Also, you've got two very different approaches. Twitter's approach with Periscope and Vine is they are all separate apps with their own unique interfaces, their own potentially their own audiences. But there's a lot of interpolation there where you can say, well, I've done this Vine video, but also show it on Twitter and Facebook for that matter. But you can send it out to your other social networks. It presumes this model of the app does the work. That's where we're going to live, but it will share to places I also hang out. Facebook's approach is kind of the opposite of that. They're like, this is within the wall of Facebook. They don't, as far as I know, there's no way to tweet your live stream to Twitter and have people watch your live stream on Facebook Live, at least not yet. I doubt they'll ever do that. But it's more in their, I hate using the term walled garden, but it's in their garden, and it's kind of kept there. Well, the upside of that is it's consistent. It's this one app. It's this one feature. It's among all the other features you're already using. You don't have to get another app. You don't have to deal with trying to combine them all and use all these different interfaces. So there's advantages to that and disadvantages. They want it to be closed, but at the same time, simple to use. I think I don't know. I don't know how it's going to pan out, but I know that bugs some people. They like to feel like one place does it all and don't make me go use 5 apps.
And that may end up being the fact that it may end up being that there's room for both. Mm-hmm. It may be that folks who are just casually wanting to see what the rest of the world is doing go to Periscope, and folks that want to either particularly talk to a group of people or really follow someone rabidly on Facebook and want to see what they're doing will go to Facebook. And I can see both of those things working out.
Yeah, I can see that going both ways. The other thing is, if somebody goes to Facebook to see my video and they hate Facebook, well, I still need to be able to talk to those people.
Yeah, right.
Facebook also breaks the rule.
Although, honestly, I mean, billion people on Facebook. You're not missing that many.
A lot of people. It's a lot.
And if you are missing that many, you're an unusual case.
It's true, but like if I do something on Facebook and I could push that out to other things, I think I would. I think that's the way I would like it. But
me too.
Bottom line is like the actual conversation that's happening around this and the actual movement forward with video and Zuckerberg seemingly going all in on it, I think says something about the future of this. And I'm a big believer that he's right, and I think others have proven it right because they've already laid the groundwork. I mean, really, this is Zuckerberg and those guys kind of reacting to the sea change. They're not inventing it. They're just saying, well, wait, this is all happening. I still say it's a misstep.
Well, they launched Facebook Live back in August.
Right.
Then they opened it to everyone in December, and by February they had seen that it was getting much more uptake than they expected.
Sure.
So, yeah, they're riding the wave.
It's a good thing. I hope it works out for them. I plan to use it a little bit more. I think the update will help because having Messenger there is dumb, and I still say having Messenger as a separate app is dumb. But they have reasons to think it's not dumb. They've got users using it in a way that I guess justifies having you leap out and do another app. So that seems contrary to what they want to do with live video, but you know.
Oh, don't worry. When live video gets successful enough, they'll probably spin it out into its own app. And frankly, there are lots of advantages for the user to having it in its own app. I actually prefer Messenger being a separate app because I don't want to have to go into Facebook, into that morass, and try to find it. The fact that I can just open Messenger and deal with that and not get sucked into Facebook is a big advantage to me.
Yeah. Well, I just put up a test. You've been doing tests. Seems to work fine.
Yeah.
Love to hear what other people think.
Let's get to our pick of the day from Ryan. It's called Pyra, P-Y-R-A, a pocket device for everyday computing, gaming, emulation, or hacking. It says it's approximately the size of a Nintendo DS, runs plain Debian Linux as its operating system, and Ryan says this is from the amazing Michael Morozic, a.k.a. Evil Dragon, the guy who helped develop Open Pandora. This is essentially a new updated version of the Open Pandora project, which, by the way, doesn't have anything to do with the Pandora music service. It's being developed by Evil Dragon, and he has been working on this a few years now and is now in the prototype stage. So check it out. Watch a really cool device being developed in the making. Also has a YouTube channel with a few videos of the Pyra development, if you're curious. Pyra-handheld.com. Thank you, Ryan. Send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Find more picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. We're still talking about contactless payments. In fact, this week on day 6, Peter Wells from Australia is going to do a little bit of contactless payment segment to address how they do use it down in Australia. Stuart wrote in and said, regarding those payments in Australia, the important thing to note is Apple Pay is only available for users of American Express, which is a very low number, and Google's solution is not available in Australia yet. The majority of contactless payments are made with NFC credit card and debit cards, which most banks offer as standard, not with mobile phones. We have NFC cards here too. People just never adopted them. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why those didn't take off. It's always funny to hear about a thing that you thought was this obsolete thing that was a stopgap deal. It's like finding out somebody's using fax machines like crazy in some remote part of the world because that became this.
Well, I wouldn't make that comparison because if you're in Australia and you're using NFC, you feel like you're ahead of the United States. Like, why are you backwards? Whereas anybody using fax machines, I think we could all agree is behind. But
yeah, I don't think. Hey, can we find some consensus today on fax machines? I think it'd be pretty easy.
Yeah, I would like the people who still require me to send faxes to reach that consensus, and they still exist. Arthur writes, could the NFL Twitter deal be the first genius step towards Twitter.tv? I can envision an in-app live stream of all sorts of events or even television with a global comments section. When I rarely attend live events, I already see screens around the stadium with live Twitter streams. Twitter has already been brought to live events. This seems to be a logical step to bring live events into Twitter.
Yeah, I agree. Why not? Like, if you can get, I don't know what the deal would have to be to strike it, but to get full games, that seems like a possibility. I think what you get before that is stuff like, here's the exclusive after-game interview thing with the coach, or here's this thing.
Well, they're going to do Periscope with the NFL.
Sure. And
right from the locker room, apparently.
Yeah, they totally can. So it's an interesting marriage, though. I don't actually know how. I kind of, to me, it's like, well, Twitter's already everything when it comes to short message, let's do it, we're at the game, stuff's happening. But to have a deal with them specifically, how that's all going to pan out is still really nebulous to me. Like, I don't really understand why that's...
What is so hard to understand? You're going to tap or click and watch the game.
I get if that is truly what I'm going to get. And when am I supposed to get this, by the way? Like,
this coming season,
all right,
starting in October.
In October,
or maybe September.
If I can watch the Green Bay game,
yes,
by tapping it in my Twitter app,
yes,
then we'll talk.
Yes, that's what you're going to get.
But I'm still not convinced.
You just don't believe it? You're like, think they're lying?
I'm telling you that if this is really what they're promising, and you're telling me this is what they're promising.
This is what they're promising.
All right.
On Thursday nights, only 10 games, obviously, not every single game.
Okay. No, yeah, right. I can't just kind of pick and choose. Right. And do we know what games yet? We don't know that yet.
Yeah, it's the 10 Thursday night games that NBC and CBS will also be broadcasting on the air.
All right. Something about it just seems fishy. I'm not trying to be
fishy. The NFL put out a press release saying we will, in fact, be letting Twitter, for free, broadcast NFL games Thursday nights for 10 weeks.
Is it just going to be the NBC feed, commercials, and all that?
Yes.
No? Okay. All right. We'll see. I'm not saying
that the CBS feed, obviously.
I'm saying that when that comes around,
I'm curious why this is so hard for you to believe.
There's some weird caveat that we don't know. That's all I'm saying.
I'll admit that it took me a while to understand that they really meant no authentication until I read in the press release that said without authentication. I'm like, oh wow. So yeah, I get it. It's a little hard to believe, but it's real.
If this is real and they do that,
this is the problem with going and reading unsteady news sources that tell you things that aren't true. You start to not be able to believe the things that in fact are very true.
Right. I guess what I'm saying is, all right, let me change the narrative. I believe they're going to do what they say they're going to do.
Okay.
Why I think it's outlandish and I'm shocked it's happening and I feel like I need to see it to believe it is because the NFL, the MLB, the everyone, the NHL, whoever, whatever big major sports league, prying their cold white knuckle hands off the steering wheel is just short of impossible. And it has been in the media fight, in the media wars for as long as it's ever been. They are the slowest to do anything. And to make a change that means that people don't have to have traditional TV to catch live sports or whatever the other reason is. If they just happen to just swing this one time with Twitter, it seems crazy that they pulled it off to me. So this isn't so much that I don't believe them. I'm still beside myself that it's actually.
I get it. By the way, MLB has been ahead of this. Like they were streaming games long before anybody was in the early 2000s. So I want to separate Major League Baseball because Major League Baseball Advanced Media I think has been ahead of the game in a lot of ways. NFL has been behind, but they're finally taking the steps. Like they let Yahoo stream a game. They charged Yahoo $17 million. They actually gave Twitter the contract for less than the top bid because they know that they can reach a more interesting audience. And here's the key that may help you understand it. This is incremental revenue. So in other words, CBS and NBC are still paying the full amount, still get all of their commercials, even on the Twitter stream. It's just another way to watch CBS and NBC. It just happens to be on Twitter as far as that's concerned. So the NFL's making more money by doing this.
All right. That's see everyone in October. Right there. I'm excited about it. I'm genuinely excited about it. I need to see it, I guess. I just don't believe him. I just need to see it.
Rabbi Mordecai Lightstone, which, by the way, is probably his real name, but if it's not, keep it. It's an amazing name. Rabbi Mordecai Lightstone said, I know you don't normally mention events and such, but in case you thought it would be interesting, I'm partnering with some guys to create something I think is pretty cool called HackOverpass, a pre-Passover hackathon on Sunday, April 17th. We'll focus on community storytelling through tech. Some of the gear for participants to use include the Amazon Echo and the Oculus Rift. It's open to everyone, regardless of beliefs or backgrounds. It should be good fun. Go to hackoverpassover.splashthat.com.
I love that. That sounds like a really...
I know, it's pretty cool. Yeah. All right. Do you believe that I'm thankful you were on the show?
Yes, I believe with all my heart that you are thankful on the show. You know why? Because in the past you've shown to be very thankful.
I am. I'm extremely thankful. What are you working on these days to let folks know about?
All right. So here's something people may not be able to believe until they see it. I purchased a Raspberry Pi 3. It is coming to me. I'm getting it in a kit, so I'm getting all the power stuff and cables and all the stuff you sort of need to get your basics going. I am going to build... and this is still up for debate, but I'm going to build either a full-blown video game or cabinet based on this thing, which will have a bunch of MAME ROMs on it, to finally build a cabinet, do all the art on the sides and top, like go nuts with it. Or I got one of my dad used to run arcades. We have an old Pac-Man sit-down model, like the cocktail model, that's just full of all the guts. And I think the other option is to tear that stuff all out of there and build this Raspberry Pi based emulator into that thing, so that now I've got kind of a little bit of the old and new. The trick is finding like a 12-inch LED. But anyway, I'm going to document the whole thing on YouTube. So if you'd like to watch me do that, I'm going to post the entire thing as I do it over at youtube.com/Scott Johnson, and go not sign up, but go like the site.
Subscribe. That's what the YouTubers say.
Subscribe. That's the word. And you'll be first to know about it. So I'm really excited about it. More details at frogpants.com or on Twitter at Scott Johnson.
That's really cool. I can't wait to see you put it together. It's going to be so much fun.
A little project for me and the boy, me and the son. We're gonna do this together and try to learn something. And I'm usually terrible at these DIY things, so or DIY things. I'm so bad at them. I say DIY. Give yourself it is how I say it. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge for me, but I think I'm ready for it. So bring it on.
Excellent. And thanks to everybody who supports the show. You guys are the best. Everyone who doesn't support the show should thank you as well. If you already support the show, you rock. If you don't, and you've been thinking about it, there are options. Go to patreon.com/DTNS. That gives us our ability to continue to do the shows. That's our ongoing budget. You can just drop us something at PayPal. That allows us to do things like send people to conferences or buy pieces of equipment to review. We don't really accept a lot of vendor stuff. That's just not what we do. So go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support if you want to know how to support the show. That said, the easiest thing you can do. And if you're like, look, I really want to support, but it's a little tight, or I just got to get around to it. I want to sign up for Patreon. Just tell someone today. Go up to somebody you know likes technology and go, have you subscribed to dailytechnewsshow.com? You really should. That in and of itself does a lot for us. Or just leave a review on iTunes. If you're like, I don't want to talk to anyone, do that. You can tell all kinds of people that way. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 512-59-DAILY. That's 512-593-2459. Catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And visit our website at dailytechnewsshow.com. Back tomorrow with Justin Robert Young. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
The NFL on Twitter? Prove it. You can't.
Prove it. You can't. That's right. I was basically doing that.
Another Jay Martin said that in the chat room. That's
That was great. I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked it.
It's a fun conversation. I don't know why I'm so nonplussed about it. I just don't know.
I get that it's shocking. It's like, really? Twitter? And really? Like, yeah, for sure.
I mean, if any social media service is going to get it, it makes sense that it's them. Like that part I get. I just don't.
I think Facebook would have also been interesting.
Do we know who the second or the highest or best bidder was?
Apparently Verizon, Yahoo. Who was the other one? We had it in our story.
Yeah, what's Yahoo?
Yahoo streamed the first internet-only game. Well, not internet-only. It was still broadcast, but
that would just seem like
the one from London.
Seems like one of those board meetings or shareholder meetings where they'd say, "You guys quit dorking around with stuff like this until we become
successful."
Yeah.
Amazon, Verizon, Yahoo, and Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Amazon.
Now, I don't know if they all outbid Twitter, but those were the other three people that were rumored to have been in the running.
So if Amazon got it, they could have had a chance to change the Super Bowl to the Bezos Bowl.
No, because they didn't get the Super Bowl. They got 10 Thursday night games.
No. They could have named those 10 games the Bezos Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There, you happy?
Sure. Fine.
Listen, the choice to go to Twitter is cool because there's a mobile aspect to this that doesn't exactly exist in the Amazon ecosystem, for example. I mean, it does. They have an app, and you could do something, but this is more like, oh, look what's going on. Denver's playing so-and-so. Watch it. Like
show titles?
I like it.
With show titles. Leading the pack is Vivaldi Makes Your Browser Sing.
Hey.
Not bad.
Third, coming in second was Judge Johnson. That's a pre-show.
Yeah.
Following that is Sup Dog. I heard you like Frog Pants.
You don't have to read all of them if you don't like them.
Screw it. We'll do it live. It's like Periscope. Virtual Private News Show. My wife does not work for Nest. Extreme taste test. Do yourself it, Yoda.
Do yourself
Isn't it ironic, China? Don't you think? If you added that, that would have been funnier, Dr. Payne. Revolve anger to bring revolution. USS FAA. USS FAA. See. That NFL guy on Twitter lied.
They're making TMS references now.
Mo cable.
Prove it you can't, and the guy on Twitter lied, or total TMS.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, Vivaldi makes your browser sing is probably the most cogent.
Cop on a Raspberry Pi. You won't believe what happens next.
No.
All right. What are we doing? What do we got? I'm ready to export. I need a title.
Vivaldi makes your browser sing. What? Huh? No. Vivaldi makes your browser sing.
Yeah, I guess we talk about Vivaldi enough.
All right, then we will do the next best, which is we're doing it live on Facebook.
What do you like?
I like I'd like that reference, but I also hate that reference.
The Facebook?
Yeah, it's kind of old. No, that we're doing it live.
What about it's coming from inside the stream?
No.
Let's go Vivaldi then.
When you have a bladder infection.
All right. Done. Vivaldi makes your browser sing.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
We're going to make your browser talk.
So I don't know what that repeating thing was, but that used to happen to me on Chrome too, and that may be why there's so much Chrome similar stuff going on that maybe it does the same repeaty thing and Safari never does it.
When you were using Chrome in the past on Hangouts, that would happen?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And they're based on the same engine, so maybe that's part of it.
When you asked me in Slack if it went away, I thought maybe you had done something, but no. All right.
No. Just I mean, it could be just random. It could have just been a random thing.
And you heard it, but you heard it over the feed.
Right? I never heard it.
I heard it.
Oh.
As an echo.
Yeah.
So
that probably means it's on my end. So to be safe, I'll do the
probably Vivaldi.
Yeah.
Vivaldi also makes you echo.
It's because it has the acoustics to sing.
That's right.
You need to set your browser to Hall audio mode, Symphony Hall mode.
Yep.
Why don't they ever have a coffee shop mode where it's just like crappy acoustics, some guy making a latte with that steamer in the background.
Customize it.
Someone chewing on a biscotti.
I hate biscotti, by the way. Can I just make
My wife loves them. I can't stand them. They're like very
an outfielder named Piscotti who plays for the Cardinals this year. He's got a great arm.
Is he too sweet and gets soggy in coffee, or no?
No, but he can throw people out from far, far away in the outfield.
All right, that's not bad.
Sesame seeds.
That was a weekly sale.
Wait, who coughed in the background?
Oh, I think that was Nick.
Secret Johnsons.
Wow, that would be an awesome name for a reality show, The Secret Johnsons.
Oh, only on Showtime, only at midnight.
It's like you guys are like a bunch of avant-garde DJs at midnight that broadcast over the internet.
I'm all in.
Spreading rumor and hope.
See, Scott, you pollute your brain with all those websites that are unreliable, and then you can't even believe the truth anymore.
I know. Even the truth is hard to believe now. I don't know what's real.
I don't know what's real anymore.
Is this real life?
Is this my life? Sounds like a talking head
I can't wait to cover the election, and when they announce a winner, you're like, how do we know?
I don't know.
Prove it.
I don't know why.
Prove it. You can't.
I'm skeptical about that more than I am about
Hey
things.
man, I 100% support and admire your skepticism. That made for a great conversation.
Yeah.
It does. It really. I mean, you definitely don't want people like just agreeing, glad handing each other the entire show.
True.
A healthy dose of skepticism will keep you alive.
Except when
perhaps
Scott and I
longer.
do our 1913 era show, and we, I respect your opinion.
That's a fine opinion.
Now, if I may be allowed to embroider it just a smidge.
Embroider it with what? Your name?
It was a metaphor.
Was it a metaphor or just a wrong word?
No, that's a metaphor.
It's a joke.
It's a metaphor. It's a better for.
Ah,
Don't bring your 21st century sensibilities into my 1913 era.
metaphor. That sounds like a good name for a candy bar.
Not bad. The metaphor.
Milk chocolate over caramel cookie
Nougat,
wafers.
some
Wait,
nougat.
isn't that a Twix?
Nougaty.
I don't like nougat. I don't know what it is, and
I
it's
love
chewy, and sometimes it pulls on my feelings.
I like nougat.
I'm trying to remember who said it when I was a kid.
Ted Nugent.
Because whoever said it, if I get it wrong, it's really bad. But there was someone in my childhood we were talking about bicycles, and they're like, yeah, I really love bicycles. I'm a pedophile.
Oh man.
And we were like, and then we said it to my parents, and they're like, you really shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
And we're like, why? But he likes pedals. It's great.
Yeah.
I used to call the pedometer. I called it a pedometer for the longest time.
My grandpa used to call the speedometer the speedometer.
There were folks back in high school or teachers who used to call it a speedometer.
He actually knew it was speedometer, but he just thought it was funny to call it a speedometer.
The speedometer. We have on the core podcast, Bo refers to skeletal as skeletal.
Skeletal?
Judge Skeletal.
Yeah.
Don't you remember him?
Yeah.
He judged the masters of the universe.
I used to say on Buzz Out Loud, I used to say nanometer just because I said it one time to be funny, and some guy wrote a scathing email to me, so I just kept saying it.
That's right. Stick it to him.
You know, when they write you a scathing email, you write back a scalding response.
No, I just didn't write back at all, and then I kept saying it.
Yeah,
And finally I wrote it. He wrote me again. I was like,
I wonder if there's I'm thinking of like, it would be a great startup idea is so instead of having a delivery like flowers or get well cards or like the fruit arrangement, you could have like a spiteful not remark, but like so you would send someone to someone you didn't like, and they would do something like a prank or something annoying, or I don't know, what would it be? What would you call it? Like an annoyagram or
Anchogram? Is that what you're thinking?
something snappy. I don't know. Backhandogram.
The 14 nanometer process.
Nanometer.
Well, if it's kilometer, why can't it be nanometer?
Isn't nanometer the guy from the north? Nanometer of the north? Or is that?
Unless you're talking about a very small nanook, I guess he could be a nanookometer.
Nanometer.
I just found something super annoying. I still have the Aereo website, like in my bookmarks.
Bookmarked, yeah.
I loved that service when it was here. And as you recall, it was like we were one of the only cities, and I loved that thing, and it went away, and I just noticed that it's no longer being able to be reached.
Oh.
Well, it was slc.aero.com.
Yeah, it's owned by TiVo now.
Yeah, let's see. If you go to the main site, TiVo is keeping the Aero dream alive once you receive on Aero.
Yeah, because you can sort of roll your own, but if you have reception, one of the big advantages of Aereo was for people who didn't have good reception for over the air, even though they lived in the market. But PlayStation View. My friend Joe uses it, and he was real excited about the fact that ABC is now on there. He's like, "We get it all. It's great."
Yeah, and the price dropped or something.
Yeah, they dropped the price down.
Yeah, it's
made it available nationwide.
It's looking more interesting than ever. I don't know how they're chipping away at that and making it cheaper, but maybe they weren't doing well with I don't know. It was so pricey before, and you didn't get everything, and it was just like, well, I'll just do cable.
Lost leader, I guess.
Well,
get people to buy more PS4s.
Yeah. I'm interested in that.
A PS4? I thought you had one.
Sorry?
Oh, I thought Scott already had a PS4.
Oh, I do. Yeah. I don't have an Xbox One because I've yet to be convinced I need one.
Yeah, you don't need one. I will say I traded in my PS4 for an Xbox One because I 90% of my use of it is video watching.
Yeah.
And the Xbox One is super quiet, even after like 4 hours running.
Mm-hmm.
Because they built it as a, maybe some might say overkill because of the Xbox 360 overheating issues.
Mm-hmm.
So it has this huge massive fan that spins over the chips, and it's super quiet. Unlike the PS4, after a while you can hear it whine if it's out of an entertainment rack or something.
Okie doke. Uh-oh. What happened to... Oh, I minimized it. Why did I do that? All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I'm out of the post. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Do it all over again.